Hey, leaders. I want to share a story with you today that reminded me of how important it is to own up to our mistakes. I was visiting my parents, and my daughter Mason was with me a few weeks ago. And in front of my mom and my daughter, my dad did something really surprising. And I could tell in the moment he was embarrassed and taken aback. And he immediately was, like, trying to cover his tracks and skirt over the challenging situation. I'm not gonna share the details of that because I don't think the details are important, but just we've all been there, right? Where you've messed up, and in the moment, you're like, "Oh, shit, what am I gonna do now?" Well, it was one of those situations where we didn't have time to process it in the moment because my mom and Mason and I were leaving. So, we left. No doubt my dad continued to stir on it, and we all, mom and Mason and I, started talking about the situation. And I very quickly realized that my dad is such a person of integrity and has such a high emotional bank account with all of us that we immediately were giving him grace and assuming positive intention. And in true dad fashion, he then came around when we all got back together and apologized face to face to each of us and had a conversation with my mom and with me. And it was a reminder that facing up to things isn't about acknowledging weakness. Facing up to things is what makes you strong. As author Sarah Dressen says, anyone can hide, but facing up to things and working through them, that's where your strength is. And isn't that true? And the story is a good reminder to me of that. In the conversation I had with him about it and talking through it, not easy for him, no doubt, but my trust with him grew through that. So here's to finding our strength in facing up to those things that come from just those moments where we don't do what we intended to do or don't have the impact that we intended to have. Face up to them, work through them. What a great way to take care of yourself and each other. And one more thing about this story. If he hadn't have had such a high emotional bank account with all of us, we would have started making up all kinds of stuff. So, is your emotional bank account high enough with the people that you love that when you take those deposits, it doesn't have huge damage? Great question to ponder.